Organic matter, the key to balancing nutrients. Organic matter is the magical stuff that transforms a pile of sand or fine rock particles or a lump of potter's clay into fertile soil. It's just plants in various stages of decomposition. Think of what you see on the ground in a forest. Fallen leaves and twigs, bits and pieces of leaves, and just above the soil a layer of dark brown leaf mold. All this is organic matter. Even manure is really just processed plants. Pieces of straw are usually still visible in fresh manure. The illustration shows natural ecosystems having a self-sustaining recycling program for organic matter. Plant leaves harness the sun's energy to manufacture carbon-containing energy compounds, carbohydrates, from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Plants use these energy compounds, plus nutrients absorbed from the soil, to manufacture proteins and all the other compounds they need for healthy growth. When leaves fall to the ground, they become food of earthworms and other organisms. Soil organisms convert these plant parts, plus the wastes of animals that eat the plants, into humus and nutrients. Roots absorb these nutrients for plants to use in growing new leaves. New leaves create new sources of organic matter, and the cycle begins all over again. Types of organic matter. Organic matter includes fresh plant residues, such as when crops are turned under at the end of a growing season. Roots and stems left behind after harvest or the leaves on the forest floor make up a significant portion. Partially decomposed plant residues, such as those in rough compost, are particularly useful form for gardens. The final stage of organic matter, when microorganisms have processed the plants until they're completely recognizable, is called humus. Humus is a fine, dark substance that only looks relatively uniform. Chemically, it's varied and complex. It's much more resistant to breaking down than earlier stages of organic matter. Some forms last many years. Humus gives rich, fertile soil its dark color. It promotes healthy plant growth in many ways, from keeping existing soil nutrients available to enhancing soil structure for good root growth. What organic matter can do. Organic matter is essential for maintaining a steady supply of nutrients, especially nitrogen and potassium. Fresh plant residues and manures supply all nutrients. Well-decomposed forms and humus supply micronutrients and low levels of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur, but very little calcium, magnesium, or potassium. Any form of organic matter that keeps nutrients from being washed away by heavy rains, yet miraculously holds those nutrients loosely so that they're easily released into the soil solution to meet plant needs. Finally, humus naturally buffers soil acidity, helping to keep it just slightly acidic. At this pH, the availability of existing soil nutrients to plants is the greatest. Why you need organic matter. Gardening speeds up and simultaneously removes plant material from the cycle shown. It helps microbes work more efficiently by supplying air through digging soil and a steady supply of moisture through watering crops. That efficiency is good when your soil is well stocked, but harvesting fruits and vegetables, mowing the lawn and removing the clippings, raking leaves and cleaning out beds at the end of the season takes away organic matter from circulation. If you don't add organic matter, its level and your soil quality will drop quickly. Sidebar, did you know how organic matter and humus work for you? It improves soil's ability to absorb rainfall or irrigation water while reducing surface runoff, which improves the soil moisture holding ability. It provides food for beneficial organisms such as earthworms, helps suppress harmful soil organisms such as nematodes and some diseases, buffers the soil pH while increasing plants' ability to tolerate acidic or alkaline soils. It supplies nutrients in ideal or slow-release form. It supplies micronutrients lacking from most commercial fertilizers, helps prevent vital nutrients from washing away, reduces your fertilizer requirements. It is transformed into vitamins, growth hormones, and other substances that stimulate plant growth and soil organisms. Aerates the soil, increasing pore space for good air and water movement. Improves structure and drainage of all soils, but especially those high in clay. Improves sandy soil by increasing the retention of water and nutrients. Reduces soil erosion. Helps keep soil cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. And helps inactivate toxins such as pesticides and heavy metals in contaminated soils. Forms of organic matter. Now that you understand how important organic matter is, how do you get it into your garden? There's a wide choice of readily available sources and several easy techniques you can mix and match according to your interests and energy level. Here's an overview, and for more details, you can turn to Chapter 4 and 5. Sidebar: did you know compost reduces pests and diseases? Compost is more effective than other forms of organic matter for controlling pest and disease. Tests show the problematic azalea lacebug is less apt to bother azaleas grown in compost-enriched soil than azaleas grown in soil enriched with peat moss. Compost has fungicidal effects also. Large-scale greenhouse and ornamental plant operations have reported reduced needs for soil fungicides for problematic diseases such as damping off and fusarium when compost is used as a major ingredient in their potting soils. Many gardeners have had success controlling leaf diseases by soaking compost in water and spraying this compost tea directly onto the diseased leaves. See page 129 for how to make compost tea. Compost has the advantage of being easy to make yourself. Now that hauling leaves and yard trimmings to the dump is no longer an option for many people, compost is becoming recognized as an important way to dispose of such materials. A more positive view of this disposal is that compost offers a way to make high-quality soil amendment and low-level fertilizer out of free materials. For people who prefer not to make their own, commercial compost can be ordered by the truckload or bought in bags at garden centers. Compost is the best choice for increasing pest and disease resistance. Plant residues and byproducts. Many plant residues supply low levels of major nutrients as well as many micronutrients. These range from lawn and garden trimmings to byproducts from processing plants. Where readily available, they're often the least expensive option. Sometimes they're free. Think of plant byproducts as raw materials of compost. You have to wait for them to break down to supply all their associated benefits. If you live right on the ocean, you may be able to gather seaweed. It's an especially rich source of potassium and micronutrients as well as a good form of organic matter. If you have lots of deciduous trees in your yard, you're already good at collecting leaves. To encourage rapid decomposition, leaves should be chopped. You can easily chop leaves by running a lawnmower over them or by running them through a special leaf shredder. Contact vegetable or fruit processing plants in your area. If you live near a cider mill, ask about the apple pomace, the residue left after apples are pressed into cider. Wineries may be happy to supply their grape pomace. Sawmills also produce lots of sawdust. Furniture makers may produce sawdust and or wood shavings. Sawdust, wood shavings, and straw are lightweight and easy to handle. All are much higher in carbon than other sources of organic matter. As a result, they temporarily tie up nitrogen in the soil as they break down. If you only use a thin layer, this won't be a problem. If you want to apply more than an inch at a time, you'll need to supply extra nitrogen by mixing with grass clippings or dehydrated manure, or you can dig abundant amounts into the soil in the fall for spring planting. Animal manures. Animal manures have been an important source of organic matter for centuries. They offer all the benefits of the other sources with just a couple of disadvantages. Fresh manures are often richer sources of nitrogen than most organic matter, but they may burn plants. Aged manures offer lower levels of nutrients, so there's no risk of burning. Horse and cow manures may contain seeds and therefore introduce weeds into your garden. Many people like to use them anyway. They just compost them or use a thicker mulch to keep the weed seeds from sprouting. For people unfamiliar with farming, another warning is in order. Chicken manure may contain a fungus that can cause a nasty respiratory infection in humans, one that's difficult to cure. To be safe, wear a respirator when handling chicken manure unless it's been composted. In more rural areas, manures are readily available and can be delivered by the truckload. In any area, dehydrated and composted manure can be purchased in bags from garden and supply centers. Sidebar. Hints for success. 3 ways to apply organic matter. In addition to choosing one or more sources of organic matter, you need to decide how to add it to the soil. One or more of the following 3 methods will work for most sources. Soil amendment. Mix the material into the soil. Top dressing. Spread the material on top of the soil. Ideally, it should disappear fairly quickly so it's available to plants. Mulch. Really just a year-round, slow-acting top dressing. Ideally, it should stay around longer so you don't have to replenish it as frequently. Green manures. One form of organic matter presents a special case. Green manure is both a type of material and a method. Green manures let you grow your own organic matter right where it's needed. All you spread is seeds. You wait for the plants to grow before doing any turning under. While you need to watch the timing of turning the crop under to maximize those benefits, green manures are otherwise remarkably very easy to use. Illustration of a compost pile with leaves, wood chippings, cow manure, and peat moss. How much does organic matter weigh? Although weights here are approximate, they'll give you a pretty good idea how heavy these materials are if you're hauling them around. They'll also help you figure out what volume you need to work with if you know the weight required. A small bale of hay, is 14 inches by 20 inches by 32 inches and weighs about 40 pounds. Hay is also available in larger square bales, which can be approximately 400 or 500 pounds, and large round bales. You can get hay or straw in those as well. And large round bales are usually about a half a ton, around 1,200 pounds. That's a side note from your reader. The material compost weighs about 50 pounds for a bushel and about 1,000 pounds in a cubic yard. Horse manure about 40 pounds in a bushel and 800 pounds in a cubic yard. Poultry manure weighs about the same as compost, about 50 pounds for a bushel and 1,000 pounds for a cubic yard. Other manures, which may contain sheep, goat manure, rabbit manure, cow manure, they on average weigh about 80 pounds to a bushel and 1,700 pounds per cubic yard. Cow manure is going to be especially heavy as there's a lot of water in it. And rabbit manure is going to weigh less, and goat, as it's very dry. Peat moss, compressed, is about 25 pounds to a bushel and 500 pounds to a cubic yard, and sawdust 15 pounds to a bushel and about 300 pounds to a cubic yard.